Hello everyone, welcome to a very special episode of Tiger Blogs. Now I know what you're asking, what makes this video special? Well, if you've known me for more than 5 seconds, you might have come to the conclusion that I have a complicated relationship with Naruto. I love his story and many of his characters, but by God are there a lot of issues. But that is a wound to be opened up another day. I want to stay in the realm of positivity. Why? Well, we just finished up Thanksgiving and we're in December headed towards Christmas. Let's be nice for a change. And there's another reason for my happy attitude. Is that the right phrase? I don't care. Anyway, big news for me. I actually just moved into a new home that I myself own. The home where I've spent my whole life in and where you've seen me do all of my live action bits up until now. It's a thing in the past. I'm sure there's a nicer way to say that, but I guess I'm still getting used to the feeling of a new home. But this is cause enough for celebration. And since Naruto has been a huge part of my life since, middle school? I want to give credit where credit is due. A send-off to my childhood, and a send-off to my old home, as you will. Now, a fair amount of people have wanted to hear my positive thoughts on the series, so it's time to make my case as a so-called fan. Also, fair warning, don't expect any fancy edits from me this time around. Again, with the new home and my job that is literally 11 hours a day, and the fact that I just wrapped up my Halloween special not too long ago, that took a few months to get done. There's my shameless plug-in, but with all what's going on right now, I need to keep this, low budget or no budget at all. I never really worked off a budget before, but anyway, you guys know what I mean, right? I just need to take it easy this time around to maintain my sanity. And hey, maybe these smaller scale edits might help me avoid the wrath of the infinite-tailed copyright beast. So let's just begin. Let's get into this, shall we? I'm through wasting time. These are my favorite moments, fights, storylines, arcs, whatever. It's my personal list, arranged in no particular order. Well, actually, no, that's a lie. When I made the list, I'm pretty sure I went in chronological order. Yeah, we'll keep things chronological to keep things in a straight line. Expect spoilers for the whole series. I'm just saying I'm going to go over these moments as briefly as I can because, well, there's a fair amount of them. We're going to be here for a little bit. So, just expect spoilers. There's your warning. Other than that, though, let's get started. So our first entry is going to be Zabuza's death, and yes, you should expect some obvious picks on here. Unlike One Piece where the story is so massive that there's a lot of variations in opinions, Naruto's best moments are often shared with the community. So here's hoping I have a few different picks. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. Zabuza was still one of my favorite villains from the series. He was intimidating as a kid, since he was a challenge to Kakashi, and Steve Blum doing his Wolverine voice before his Wolverine voice was a thing was always amazing. It was chilling to the bone as a kid. In fact, can I get a sample of that real quick?
Enough talking. I need to exterminate the old man. Now.
I hope future me was able to find a clip of that. Anyway, at first, Zabuza was just your stereotypical bad guy who seemed like he didn't want anything or valued anyone in his life. Just one-note bad guy. Which was strange, since Zabuza had Haku by his side. Turns out, though, his demonic personality and coldness to his partner was a silent facade. After being defeated by Naruto's most powerful technique, the Talk no Jutsu, Zabuza, in tears, recognizes his mistakes and cries for his lost partner. Zabuza may have lost the physical battle to Kakashi, but Naruto was the one that broke the demon of the mist. In one last act, Zabuza, without the use of his arms, with just a kunai in his mouth, charges through a gang and viciously tears through several of its members and their leader Gato, slicing his head off in the manga. Or in the anime, what happened? Was it just like he stabbed Gato and then he just threw him in the ocean? Was that what happened? I don't remember the anime too much, at least for that part. And I would also like to remind everyone that Zabuza was being stabbed several times during this one little moment, but he never slowed down. What gets to me every time is that usually when someone sacrifices themselves like this, you know, one man against the mob, or villain making one last heroic act, or whatever. You'll have that one character, or some characters will be like, man, he did some bad stuff, but he'll be redeemed in the Lord's eye. Zabuza? Hell no! Haku was an innocent and generous soul in the grand scheme of things, but Zabuza killed many people, and he's fully aware. He knows that he's going straight to hell, and he's making sure that Gato goes with him. God damn, with that line, whatever the quote was, it was just like, what did he say exactly? I'm making a fool of myself, but it was just like, don't worry, Gato, I'll be coming with you down to hell. It was something along those lines. It was really cool. He's resigned to his fate, that's the bottom line. And in one last speech with Haku and Zabuza that tugs at the old heartstrings, and there's a reason everyone remembers this moment fondly. It's honestly one of the few times I could think of where the villain of an arc has the best moment at the end of it. That stuff is usually saved for the heroes, to no one's surprise. Regardless, Zabuza's death was hard-hitting as a kid, and it's the perfect kind of story subversion, I guess that's the right phrase, but yeah, it was the right kind of story subversion that made Naruto's first part stand out. Kakashi said it best. Without Zabuza, Naruto would have never been the same, or he wouldn't have been the same character and story that we would know today. And while we're on the obvious picks road, let's just get this one over with. Rock Lee versus Gaara. Or as I like to put it, the true main character of Naruto versus Gaara. Yeah, I'm on that boat. Fight me. Seriously, after reading Shippuden and realizing what Naruto was and how he hypocrites his entire purpose, I just wish the whole story was handed to Rock Lee. Anyway, Lee versus Gaara to this day, and most likely far into the future, is one of the most beloved battles in all of manga and all of anime, you name it. The choreography, the sheer rush of hype, it's one of the most exciting moments of the entire series. But what makes it stand out to me is the build-up. The Chunin exam preliminaries had a random system for choosing who fights who. So when Rock Lee versus Gaara came up, everyone realized the same thing. We have a rookie who prefers hand-to-hand combat, who's lost to people before, against someone who's never suffered a scratch and can kill with a simple raising of his hand. This match should have been so easy to call. But then we get Guy Sensei going on about how Lee has physical trick after trick up his sleeve, and that this whole time he was holding back. We then learn that Lee only has his taijutsu to use against enemies, but that doesn't really matter when you have insane levels of speed at your side. Oh, but it doesn't stop there. Since Gaara is that strong, Lee has to use the 8 inner gates, well, at least 5 of them, I believe. And it's a concept that is only shown a couple times canonically in the entire series. But if someone uses any of those gates, the boost they get, the boost they get, I was about to say the same thing, the boost they get. I am a mess today, I'm so sorry. Anyway, the boost that someone gets from using the 8 gates, or at least the first 3 or 4, it is unfreaking real, the power they get. And that's when this fight takes off in the insane levels. I don't need to talk about the fight itself because it's that well known. All I have left to mention is the tragic ending that honestly, upon rewatching, still gets me in the feels. Seeing Lee get on his feet through sheer willpower alone is heartbreaking, especially this is after the fact where his arm and leg were crushed and he's still standing. That's so good. This fight is fantastic. That's all I need to say, and it's worth watching every single time. If you haven't watched it, why are you still here? I don't mean that to be mean, but why? How did you miss this? Alright. Our next moment is going to be Kakashi meeting Orochimaru. This Sannin tore through Squad 7, at least the kid members, and humiliated Anko, but there was one member on Team 7 left out of the snake party. Enter Kakashi. After treating Sasuke's curse mark, Orochimaru comes out to practically brag about how he's already won. Kakashi quickly gets out a lightning blade and is ready to charge in for the kill, and his student, no, us fans at the time, were on Kakashi's side. Man was super strong and had freaking lightning blades, man. Orochimaru then backed off. So when that happened, I thought, yeah, Kakashi's the best, woo! Only for the copy ninja to break down in fear afterwards, saying to himself, what the hell was I thinking? The man practically foresaw his own death if he even stepped towards Orochimaru. Again, Orochimaru just came to basically say, Sasuke's mine now and you suck. Fuck you. Again, this is one of those story subversions that made Naruto's first part amazing. It gets me hooked every single time, even though I know what's going to happen. I know that this moment isn't even like that long, but the impact it had on me as a kid, and the kind of, again, story subversion it provided, it's just great. It's definitely worth mentioning in my eyes, and I think it's worth a rewatch too, again, even with all the context known. But yeah, really short moment there. But who cares about possible fights or slaughters in that scenario? Let's talk about a real fight, or rather, the highlight of one. Naruto's Ninja Handbook against Gaara. Just like with Rock Lee, when I first saw Naruto stand up against Gaara, I thought for sure that Naruto was going to lose, the curse mark would then take over Sasuke all the way, and the battle would be won by the true monster, woo! But Naruto pulls out his ninja handbook. He summons an army of clones, uses the 1000 Years of Death paper bomb combo, the 2K Uzumaki barrage, and breaking through Gaara's ultimate attack by summoning Gamabunta, followed by a kaiju ninja battle, ending with the frog transforming into the nine-tailed fox for a pseudo-tail beast battle. And excuse me, but this fight was better than it had any right to be. And it was so fulfilling, since Gaara up until this point just kept getting stronger as he was enveloped by Shikaku. He was borderline invincible to when he fought Sasuke, or Gaara didn't even really fight Sasuke. Sasuke hid behind a tree for most of the fight, and Gaara's like, come on, kill me. That's what I remember. Or at least that's how the anime painted it. I'm pretty sure the manga handled it differently. Anyway, besides the point, Gaara was invincible up until this point. But when Naruto actually uses his brain with the jutsu he has and enormous chakra, that's what makes the story and this fight worth it. I mean, Naruto vs. Gaara is one of my favorite fights of all time. Not just in the realm of Naruto, but I mean all time. So yeah, it's kind of strange that I'm, talking about my favorite fight in the whole series this early on, but there's still a lot to talk about. Oh, and bonus points to the backstory of Gaara showing up in this fight. It just made me relate to Gaara so much in terms of loneliness. Sasuke finally seeing Naruto's power in action, that was a great little part too. And god damn it, I can't say it enough, this battle is legendary to me. And we're not exactly done with this moment. Yeah, that's right, think of this as a two-parter, because this directly leads into our next moment that, I can't segue very well. It's a two-parter. I should have just stopped it there. Can you tell that I'm amazing at these blogs yet? Anyway, our next moment, part 2, the Will of Fire. This moment starts right when the third Hokage is giving his speech to Orochimaru about how he shouldn't underestimate the Leaf Village, and how right the Hokage was, because that's when everyone makes a comeback. We even see some action from some of the rookies' parents as they provide a nice foreshadow to the skills the rookies will eventually inherit. All the while, there's this inspirational music in the background, and it's just swelling up for a few minutes while the Leaf Village kicks some ass. It's some great stuff. It's pretty much the, what's the name of the song? The Portal song and scene from Avengers Endgame, where after so much shit happens, we then see the heroes assemble, and they just dominate the battlefield. It all ends with Naruto, covered in Kurama's chakra, making one last charge at Gaara, ending the destruction of the Hidden Leaf, and Holy shit, how am I out of breath this early? Honestly, me talking about this little moment doesn't do it justice. It's a very kick-ass montage. That's the bare bones definition I can give this. I recommend, again, it's definitely worth rewatching. You're gonna hear me say that a lot. But if you can't find the footage of this anywhere, like on YouTube or anywhere else, I recommend looking up, at the very least, the song that was used here. It's called Those Who Inherit the Will of Fire. And considering the fact that, to my knowledge, that this song is used once, yeah, you heard me, once, in the entire series, it just makes it all the more special to me. And goddamn, how I just remembered how I wanted that song to play when Naruto ended, when he beat Sasuke at the end. Man, that would have been a great time to use that too, god damn it. But anyway, it's thanks to that song. This is a one-of-a-kind moment, and I really hope I'm not the only one that loves these few minutes of amazingness. Whew. But you know, some may think that a few minutes can last an eternity. Just don't remind Kakashi of that, because it will give him some PTSD, and that leads to my next moment, Itachi tsukuyomi. This right here was the ultimate mind freak, and now that I think about it, reminds me of Kakashi facing off against Orochimaru. You know, super strong villain arrives to make trouble, but then Kakashi arrives all cool, ready to save the day. Only this time, Kakashi actually tries to fight Itachi, and it doesn't help that Itachi is so much stronger than Orochimaru. How is that proven? Thanks to the tsukuyomi, an illusion space made by Itachi that can break a man like Kakashi in a second. The illusion world is so powerful that 1 second in our world is 72 hours in the illusion world. It also helps as a nice foreshadow to the infinite tsukuyomi that Madara planned to use on the world, because it answers the plot hole that, oh, the dreamscape wouldn't last as long in the real world, but with Madara, that dream world can feel like it'll last forever. I'm getting ahead of myself though. Point is, the tsukuyomi set Itachi above any villain so far in the story. The mere opening of his eye was a greater threat than anything we saw before, and the torture scene. Damn! It may be dragged out, but it's dragged in the best possible way. This moment also made me realize that this is how strong an Uchiha should be after all the bragging that other characters make about the clan, specifically Sasuke. Hell, Itachi proved that alone when he humiliated Kurenai in Genjutsu combat. This was a great introduction to Itachi, a great introduction to the Akatsuki, and it hits home on what the true power of what the Uchiha should be like. Whew, okay. We're moving along here. I may need a break sooner or later. Next on my list of favorites is my favorite attack from the series, Rasengan. Specifically, at least in terms of this list here, the first real Rasengan that Naruto uses on Kabuto. This is just a really cathartic moment, as Kabuto is put in his place, and it shows that Naruto can not only add a new jutsu to his limited arsenal, but is ready for the next step on his shonen journey. The Rasengan itself is so simple, but so cool to see in action. It's a combination of the Kamehameha and the spin from JoJo Steel Ball Run. This moment or attack is the payoff of the 3 Sannin arc. Hell, it's been building up since Naruto held that first water balloon in his hand. So seeing it in a mastered state against a cocky villain, yeah, that's all I need to make it memorable. Not much else to say here. Again, it's a short moment, but man, this moment excels in the payoff it gives. Let me ask you a question. Where were you when Neji vs. Kidomaru was shown on TV? I'm going to admit this right here, right now. Naruto vs. Gaara, mentioned before, is my favorite Naruto battle in the series, but that doesn't mean it's my only favorite, because Okay, this is gonna sound a little weird. I have my favorite battle from the Shippuden side, and by that logic, I have my favorite part 1 fight as well. So there's a part 1 fight that's my favorite, and there's a Shippuden fight that's my favorite, and then what transcends them both is Naruto versus Gaara. That's my weird thinking. Are you really surprised I think that way? Or think that terribly? So of course, to no one's surprise, Neji versus Kidomaru takes that spot for my favorite part 1 fight. Looking back, I could have easily made Choji's sacrifice be on my favorites list because, again, I related to the outcast of the friend circle, but god damn it, I was just so engrossed to see Neji's growth as a character in this one fight alone. A child who puts everything on the line for the sake of a friend, to defy his own destiny, and to prove himself as a genius. I loved reading the manga version of this fight, but the anime is the version I remember more. I don't remember the exact date, but it was in December. I was watching Cartoon Network, and I was busy decorating the Christmas tree with ornaments. It took so long to finish the job, because every few seconds I would turn to see Neji coming up with some idea to fight Kidomaru, or watch in agony as Kidomaru prepares his own strategy to use against Neji. And it almost worked every single time. That memory is stuck with me, just me spinning around the room, just be like, no, Neji, you have to use this, you have to dodge, or no, Kidomaru, you punk-ass bitch. Okay, I never swear it as a kid, otherwise my mom would have killed me. Oh, but man, when I think of Naruto, I usually think of Neji versus Kidomaru first. And the fight itself is tense as all hell. This is, what's a good comparison? I think it's like the ninja equivalent of Naked Snake versus the End from Metal Gear Solid. Yeah, that works. You have an outgunned soldier that excels in close combat against a supernatural sniper. That setup is freaking genius, especially in the world of ninjas. Hell, for most of the fight, Neji's on defense. I mean, he has a defensive type in terms of fighting ability, but this time around, his life is in actual danger. He's not in full control of the situation. But Neji, being the genius, realizes that to defeat his enemy, he has to take the full force of an attack, use it against his opponent, and remind Kidomaru that even though Neji has his weaknesses, that boy knows them far better than his enemy could ever plan for. And with one final strike, Neji beats Kidomaru. Add that sad music with a smile of victory and you have an awesome fight. Wait. Should Neji versus Kidomaru even be called a fight? Hell, if anything, it's more like the most intense game of hide and seek. Whatever, I'm thinking too hard. I need to stop using my brain. Oh my god. Although, when have I ever used my brain? Trevor Tiger, blog expert. Whatever, there's a reason that Neji versus Kidomaru is in my top 3 Naruto fights. Okay, what's next on the list here? Wait a sec. Oh my god, please tell me I did not skip. Oh my god, I did skip it. Okay, so I know that we're building up to Naruto versus Sasuke, but I feel rather silly because I actually skipped over Shikamaru versus Temari. So how my script, well, not really a script, how I did this whole favorite Naruto moments list is that I put in caps lock just the topics, and then I would put like bullet points under them just to make sure like, oh, these are the talking points I need to focus on whenever I do this. Well, I don't know how, but I just left Shikamaru versus Temari in the dust back there, and I feel like such a goof. And, well, obviously we're going to backtrack here. Okay, so, yeah, I feel rather silly, because Shikamaru is, he is actually my favorite character from Naruto, just in general. Wow, I can't really recover from this. I am so sorry, but okay, let's just reset. So Shikamaru, like Neji, was also a genius, but whereas Neji is like Einstein levels of genius, Shikamaru is let's just say it, Tony Stark levels of intellect. That's the only analogy I got in my brain right now. He takes everything into account, and while Shikamaru only has like 3 jutsus that rely on shadows, he never has a dull moment, and it never gets boring watching Shikamaru take control of a fight with only his mind and his shadow, or really just his mind and the shadows that he can use in the immediate vicinity. I could have put, man, if I really wanted to stay chronological, I could put Shikamaru versus Tayuya on here. But since I hate Tayuya, and Shikamaru's first major fight against Tamari is so much better in my opinion, we're sticking with the first showdown he had. Wait, was that his first? Shikamaru versus Tamari was not the first showdown he had. There was that sound ninja girl. I don't remember her name, but how Shikamaru defeated her was that he used his shadow possession jutsu, took control of her body, and then he just, he leaned back so hard, the sound ninja girl he was controlling just conked her head on the wall. No, that was funny as all hell, but this fight, Shikamaru versus Tamari, is the highlight. I think it's the fight he's most well known for aside from Hidan, but that's not even really a fight, that's just a, revenge? We'll get to that moment later on, don't worry. I'll have a lot more to say when that time comes. Okay, so where Shikamaru versus Tamari is concerned, everyone in the Chunin exams was at first taking the matchup seriously. Everyone except Shikamaru, who, and all he wanted to do was just look at clouds and not do anything. He didn't want to be at the he didn't want to be at the Chunin exam finals. He just wanted to look at clouds and gaze upon them, and because he's doing that, the crowd's throwing trash at him and Tamari's just trash talking him in return. However, that being said, we're just like Tamari. We think we have him pinned, but then Shikamaru is like 5 steps ahead at every single turn. This small skirmish of Shikamaru slowly outfoxing Tamari in every single area, it is spectacular. It's a small fight, but it pulls out all the stops, and it shows us why Shikamaru should never, ever be underestimated. And it ends with a classic Shikamaru move where after he finally shows off what he can do, he makes the audience shut up. They're like, whoa, this guy's really good. And he makes Tamari cower in fear, like, oh my god, I'm really going to lose. Shikamaru has her dead to rights, and he's like, I give up. The end. It's such a classic Shikamaru move with him giving up despite being clearly the winner. And you have, honestly, in my opinion, Shikamaru versus Tamari is one of the most unique fights in the entire series, because there really isn't many fights like this where it's just 2 tacticians going off against each other. Honestly, when Shippuden came, it turned into Attack on Naruto Z. I miss these. I missed watching these kinds of fights, just where people use their mind more instead of using planetary galactic level Rasengan barrage with the help of God. It's too much for me. It got way too much, but I'm about to go into negativity again. Okay, going away from that, but Shikamaru versus Tamari, again, this is just an awkward entry put after we were rolling up so much momentum here. I just had to take a quick second to go over that. I feel so much better that I went over it. Yeah, Shikamaru versus Tamari, great fight. I think it only lasts like 1 episode too, but it's so self-contained. It's a great episode, great fight. Not even a fight, it was just more like a great chess game. I should really move on to next topic because I cannot think of a better segue. I should watch some clouds after this. There we go. There's a segue. All right. Whew. All right, but I can't really go cloud watching yet because there's still a lot of moments to cover, and I need to get back on my list. I should check if I skipped anything else. No, check, all right. Yes, here we go. Okay, we're back on track. All right, so next up, the Sand Tsunami when Gaara faces off against Kidomaru. The fight between Gaara and Kidomaru is cool, and there's a nice back and forth between Gaara and Kidomaru, but my favorite part of the whole fight was when Gaara, without hesitation, unleashed a tsunami of sand as a giant middle finger to Kidomaru's taunts. You have to understand how satisfying it was to see that. Kidomaru was practically unstoppable up to that point of the fight. He fought, well actually he didn't even really fight. He played with Ninetales Naruto and went along with Rock Lee, even though Rock Lee kind of had the upper hand at first when he had like the drunken fist out. As soon as Kidomaru put effort into the fight, he was the clear winner. There was no contest. So, and even when Gaara showed up, and everyone in the audience, me included, was like, oh shit, Kidomaru is so dead. Kidomaru was just like, no, I don't fear you, Gaara. I'm just better than you with my bones. The point is that this freak of the bone needed a reality check, and Gaara in his new outfit, meaning that he got stronger according to the law of Shonen Jump, is ready to provide that harsh dose of reality. Gaara has come a long way since his first appearance. Remember when just a bundle of sand was scary with Gaara at the helm? Well, now he has a goddamn ocean of it. It is insane. It is cathartic as hell to just see the sand tsunami just emerging out of the ground, ready to plow Kidomaru, and Kidomaru just looks up and feels like, oh, that might be troublesome. And after the sand tsunami, you got the giant sand burial, and that was just perfect. It may not have done much in the grand scheme of this fight, because then Kidomaru just uses his curse mark to get back in the fray. The attack itself, just the sand tsunami in and of itself, it just caught me off guard, and it's still amazing to watch on repeat. It's one of the largest and best flexes this sand shinobi got, and I got nothing else to say on this. What else do you want me to say? It's just a giant wave of sand, and it's something we never saw this big before. It's just really cool. Whew! Man, I am running out of breath. Thankfully, we're near the end of part 1. I can take a little water break soon enough. But speaking of really cool, let's just make a little transition here. Boot up your faint AMVs by Linkin Park, because it is time to talk about the highlight of part 1, Ninetales Naruto vs. Sasuke. After we get, 3 to 4 episodes of flashbacks focusing on Itachi killing the Uchiha clan, Naruto goes on the offensive as he's possessed by his own rage. Sasuke watches in astonishment, and it quickly turns into fear as Sasuke's made into a little bitch. I'm going to say it right now. There may be a couple Sasuke moments down the road, but I really do not care for him. My Sasuke appreciation stopped when he left the village, and it started again when he was beaten by Naruto at the end of the story. I am not afraid to say that. Please send all angry fans to my new home. Thank you. Anyway, just seeing Sasuke's smug attitude about him being an Avenger and how he's going to kill now to get power, seeing those beliefs and that new motivation literally get slammed against like the wall, the final valley, it's beautiful. That's all I got. It's just beautiful. I want that montage where Naruto gets that first gut punch on Sasuke, followed by that 7-hit combo in the air on repeat if I ever have to go to therapy. Even when Sasuke takes back control of the fight by obtaining the... Is there like a technical term? When he gets the full mirror wheel of the Sharingan. You know, it was, you have the big black part of the eye, the center point, and then you have those 3 little commas surrounding it. When Sasuke gets that, he's in control. But just when he thinks he wins, Kurama says no, and gives Naruto the one-tailed cloak. Remember, I'm going off track here just a little bit, but if you guys ever played one of the old Naruto games, remember when the one-tailed cloak was just OP before the 4 tails form was a thing? Good times, really good times. And then, of course, I can't end this moment without the big Rasengan versus Chidori clash. That was just great. What makes this stand out for me, though, was that this fight right here, it gave me everything I wanted when I first saw it. A cathartic, righteous beatdown of Sasuke. I got to see more of the justified Kurama rage, and the fight itself just going all out makes it a proper ending to the series, to the first half of the series. Not many stories can pull that off, have a strong first half before a time skip, or before it goes into part 2. Not many can do that. The emotional stakes were high. I could feel the impact of every single blow and the rage coming out of Naruto, and it all ends with a quiet but single fierce blow. It's iconic for all the right reasons, so it's no surprise that I, like many, consider this fight one of the best parts of the entire story. Speaking of which, we're not quite done with part 1 yet. Kakashi Gaiden. Easily my favorite short story in the series. This is how you do a flashback. This is how you establish your series villain. That's right, I said series villain. Fuck Madara. Get out of here. He's gone. Away with him. This is how you tell the backstory of one of the best characters in the story, because everything about Kakashi Gaiden ties itself to part 1 with no hiccups whatsoever. It's a perfect story on its own for me. Seeing Kakashi use the Chidori before it became the Lightning Blade, seeing Minato show us the generational story of master and student, having the story set up Obito's spark of inspiration to Kakashi, as well as setting him up as the big bad of the series is... Man, it's all just great. You're gonna hear me say that a lot too. And, oh, I almost forgot, Rin! Rin was there. She's harmless though, I liked her as a kid. Even in being captured and in death, she still contributed more than Sakura. I'm sorry, I'm just not a fan of her either. But in all seriousness, words do not do this little arc, this flashback, whatever. It doesn't do it justice. It deserves its own watch. I honestly think that even if someone never watched Naruto, I think they could watch this short story and still enjoy it to the fullest. It's a self-contained tragedy that answers all the questions it needed to answer at the time. If you can make the time, I urge you to watch or rewatch this again. I will likely do it many more times in the future, and I will never regret doing that. And I just gotta scroll down here. Are there any other points I have to cover? Nope, that's it. Kakashi Gaiden, favorite short story in the entire series. It's one of those perfect moments for me. I really can't see any fault in that short story whatsoever. Okay, I need a water break. I need to take a little break here. I got through all of my favorite moments from part 1, so obviously afterwards I will handle my moments from Shippuden. Until then, I'll be right back and see you really soon, even though I won't be seeing you, so in spiritual sense, I'll see you soon. That just sounded creepy. Just cut me off right here, Trevor. Okay, is everything up to date? Everything's still on? Perfect! Okay, we are back. Alright, so, starting out the Shippuden side of the story is Gaara's revival. This, in my eyes, is one of the most emotional moments of this series for me. It's crushing because as Gaara is being brought back to life because... Shonen Jump logic, of course. He looks over at Naruto, whose circle of friends only keeps getting bigger with every cut. With Gaara, though, there's no one around him, and the empty wasteland around the child only gets larger with every single cut. This visual parallel got me to tears the first time reading this, and I was pretty close to tears again when I watched it in anime form. I'm telling you, this is proof that some pictures are worth 1,000 words. But just when Gaara feels like he's stuck in emotional hell forever, Naruto goes over to him, brings Gaara in as a friend, and it's revealed that Gaara had a circle of people that cared about him after all. The realization that Gaara has when he's brought back to life is downright inspiring and sad in the best ways. This was the complete redemption of Gaara, and in a way, was Kishimoto's literal reboot to the character. I'm not complaining. Gaara is right under Shikamaru for favorite Naruto characters for me. This moment is often overlooked because we had the equally momentous death of Granny Chiyo, the sorcery battle, the Kamui when that was revealed with Kakashi. But I'm sorry, with those moments were really great in their own right, but Gaara's revival was what sold me to hop on the Shippuden hype train. It was the reason why I wanted to keep reading Naruto. It was the reassurance that Kishimoto's writing wouldn't go downhill for a long time to come. And to end this moment on another note that made me tear up, did anyone else do so when Gaara shook hands with Naruto at the end of the, what's the name of the arc? The Gaara retrieval arc? The rescue Gaara arc? The rescue Kazekage? I don't remember. Anyway, when Gaara shook hands with Naruto at the end of the arc, that got to me, I won't lie. And please tell me I wasn't the only one that teared up a little, because otherwise I'm gonna feel as lonely as child Gaara in that wasteland of a flashback. But screw the tears, we have another fight on our hand. Four Tails Naruto versus Orochimaru. A lot of my reasoning for this can be linked to One Tail Naruto versus Sasuke. It's another rage-induced cathartic beatdown, but it's on the main villain of Part 1. This fight was what I wanted to see during Part 1. Naruto going as far as he could for all the shit Orochimaru put him through, and even though Orochimaru still played the fight off as nothing too special, seeing some of the insane damage Naruto could pull off was worth it. It's not the longest fight, it definitely deserved a sequel, but this fight served its purpose as to allow Naruto to let his anger out. It's really fitting too. This is the last time, canonically, that Naruto relies on Kurama until the Six Tails cloak. Orochimaru makes it clear too. Naruto is tough on his own, but can't always just rely on the fox to solve everything. He has to have his own power-up, or his own skill. Enter the Rasen Shuriken in Sage mode. So Kurama's power-ups were going to be put on hold after letting it all out on the former main villain. But at least with the fight that we got, it was so goddamn satisfying. Anyway, let's go back to Shikamaru in what I think is the perfect conclusion to his character arc. It's in the form of when Shikamaru traps and defeats Hidan. Poor Shikamaru, man, he was going through a tough time when he got his spotlight in Shippuden. He had a run-in with two Akatsuki members that were leagues above him in power, and his teacher Asuma died just trying to put a dent in them. This leads to a different personality in Shikamaru that I will definitely need to talk about in another video. But point is, Shikamaru is about to become the Batman, one of the smartest people in the world, and now, with vengeance on his side, is about to use his plan time to win the next fight for good. And as it turns out, that plan works. Shikamaru not only finds a way to trap Hidan, but also use that immortal Akatsuki member to weaken Kakuzu. What follows is a nice passing of the torch from teacher to student, followed by Shikamaru dealing an eternal punishment to Hidan. I think it's here where we see Shikamaru grow up for good. No more can he call things a drag all the time, he can't take a back seat anymore. He has to step up for Asuma, his friends, and most importantly, the future of the village, aka the children of the leaf. Shikamaru may not be motivated all the time, but it's his commitment to what's important that's truly inspiring and just gives me more reasons to call him my favorite character. Whew, and since I've talked about being satisfied from these moments so much, let's add one more here, just a little mini moment, because yeah, hearing and seeing Hidan scream in agony, that was an entire arc of building, just like the Rasengan. It's just so cathartic to listen to and to watch. And let's just stop here for a second. Hey guys, this is Future Trevor, or Editor Trevor. I wanted to give a quick heads up here. So when I was about to cover our next moment, I noticed that my mic suddenly spiked, if that's the right word. What I mean is that suddenly, just for no reason, out of the blue, my microphone from this point wouldn't pick up sound or my voice as well as it did. So in my panic state, I spent around like 5 minutes messing with the volume and gain features on both the microphone and my computer. Thanks to that genius maneuver, because of that, I've allowed an echo to be picked up on the microphone, and now you are going to hear that echo for the rest of this video. I'm really embarrassed by this, and honestly, the only thing I can ask is that you guys aren't distracted too much from here on out. Hell, I don't even know if my microphone returned to normal after doing this recording right now that you're listening to. I don't know if it returned to normal at all, but anyway, if you hear any difference in sound quality, that's why. Sorry to come out of the blue like this, but it needed to be said. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed the rest of this blog. Hopefully the sound isn't too distracting, but hey, I'll talk to you guys later. Alright, next up is the first Sasuke moment. Yay! And it's arguably his most important one, his battle against Itachi. This is one battle from the manga I can't ever forget, mainly because I found the artwork for Volume 43 to be so goddamn cool. Even though Volume 42 focuses on Jiraiya, and that's where this battle starts, I think the artwork for Volume 43, it just sells the whole fight. It's what Sasuke's arc has been building to since the start of the whole series. So yeah, it's kind of obvious that this battle is going to make my favorites list. It's like if I made a Yu Hakusho favorites list and I didn't include anything from the Dark Tournament saga. It would be a crime. Anyway, what makes this fight awesome is that it doesn't lose any flair whether or not you know the context of this fight. What I mean is that the first time I read this, I was on Sasuke's side. I was like, whoa, Sasuke is that strong and he planned this far ahead and oh man, this fight is so cool. But ever since the truth of Itachi was shown, this fight is seen a bit differently. It's really awesome seeing Kishimoto plant the seeds of Itachi's true character throughout the fight, be it physically or just through his speech patterns. The fight itself is awesome. My favorite part is that Sasuke's plan is to essentially force Itachi to use up his power, and since most of Itachi's offensive arsenal is focused on like flame techniques like the Amaterasu, Sasuke can use that arsenal to stir up the mother of all lightning jutsu, the Kirin, one of the coolest jutsu in this series, considering it's used like twice, I think? Wait a sec. It had the canon introduction in Sasuke vs. Itachi. I don't remember if the Kirin used on Naruto in their final fight was anime exclusive or that was canon. Whatever. I'm for the sake of it, I'm just gonna say it's canon. Head canon, whatever you want to call it. But the Kirin, oh god, it was just such a cool move. Just the way it descends from the sky, growling and howling, and then Sasuke's like, be gone with the thunderclap. Slowly, no, not even slowly, just like a quick slant, like a quick drop of the finger. God, that was so cool. But just when I thought the fight was over, boom, Itachi stands up, heavily wounded, but has one last ace up his non-existent sleeve, the Susanoo. Now this technique is a mixed bag for me. I thought it was interesting since I thought the Susanoo would be it would be the defensive attribute of the Mangekyo Sharingan, while Amaterasu would be the offensive attribute, but oh boy, how wrong I was on that one. Because it just turns out anyone with the Mangekyo Sharingan can use the Susanoo, and it's just the strongest thing ever. No, I think it's just used way too much for my liking. It's like Darth Maul, so much better in smaller doses. Still though, seeing Itachi slowly walk towards Sasuke, who goes back to frightened child, is so intense and a great parallel to how all of this started. with one last touch and a smile, Itachi falls defeated. I didn't even focus on what Itachi said at the end because I was just floored with the ending. Sasuke won. It wasn't his true victory, like he didn't deal the finishing blow, but who the hell cares? He technically won. His goal was over. What happened after that? I didn't care. My stunned jaw when it hit the floor took priority. This whole skirmish here, this final fight between the two brothers is easily one of the better fights in Shippuden for me. Was it my absolute favorite? No, that's later on. But that doesn't distract me from saying with confidence how great the fight is otherwise. Alright, so, technically, this next moment on my list here is Toby's reveal. In hindsight, I should have put that elsewhere, because, when I say my next favorite moment is Toby's reveal, I'm not talking about when he reveals himself to Sasuke. It's not that one. It's the big reveal before, when we see our first real look at Pain, before that guy's story happens. Anyway, ever since the end of part 1, it was foreshadowed that Pain was the leader of the Akatsuki, and he was, you know, most things considered. He was the one that commanded the other members. He was using the Akatsuki for his goal, his motivation. But then, on a dark and stormy day in the Hidden Rain Village, which, honestly, for the citizens there, it was, like a normal Tuesday for them? Pain and Conan, I never got the saying right. Is it Conan or Conan? I'm gonna say Conan. Anyway, Pain and Conan got out of a meeting with the Akatsuki, and before I even had the chance to think, oh man, now it's just Pain, the big boss of the group. What is he going to talk about since the attention is solely on him? Suddenly, another figure emerges. Of course, this figure starts monologuing about his plans, but as he talked, I, like many, got the impression that he was the true leader of the Akatsuki. I mean, this guy had a hooded cloak rather than having the basic cloak. My edgy teen mind saw that as a sign of leadership, and it was the only time that kind of thinking paid off. Because then this figure turns around, and as the lightning strikes the ground, we saw the figure as none other than Toby. That single panel, the one where he turns around, it's like, the Sharingan will be mine as the lightning strikes behind, I can't speak today because the hype is just getting to me. But yeah, him turning around saying the Sharingan will be mine, it's full power, while the lightning just flashes behind him. That panel is engraved in my memory forever. When I think of Naruto villains, honestly, that panel comes up like 95% of the time. It was just so cool because the design was so simple. Toby with the hood and the Sharingan was just a really effective design choice. And apparently, I wasn't the only one that thought this reveal was amazing, because if I remember right, one of the most well-known pieces of fan art for this series is where the Akatsuki are lined up side by side, but hooded Toby is in the background as the true mastermind. This was a twist I didn't see coming. I was fooled, played like a damn fiddle. I honestly thought that Toby was the goofball of the organization when he first showed up in Shippuden, but it turns out that it was just another facade by Obito. The reveal was in a classic environment too, so it earned bonus points for me as well. It's a really short moment, but the impact it had on the first part of Shippuden was something that took me completely off guard. Okay, so this next part, I have to be really brief on, because in all honesty, if I have to explain this, moment, in air quotes here, but if I have to explain this next moment in detail, I'm going to be recorded for like 6 more hours, so, again, I have to be brief. But the best part about this is that this is the most popular part of Shippuden. Thankfully, I don't need to make an essay on this, and the more I talk about this, the more I feel obligated to make a separate video on this entirely, but diving right in, I want to talk about the Versus Pain arc, storyline, saga, whatever you want to call it. For me, that begins when Jiraiya meets the Summoning Pain, up until Naruto is accepted as a true hero. There is a lot to cover, but I want to go over the main parts. First off, Jiraiya's last battle. Or, really, it's his first real battle since the last time he fought seriously, he was drugged and couldn't fight at full power against Orochimaru. So this was the battle. Jiraiya had to pull out all the stops, and he didn't disappoint. This literal legend defeated 3 Pains, attempted to fight all 6 Pains, gave a proper introduction to Sage Mode, and went out a hero. You know the death of Ace from One Piece? I call Jiraiya's fall the Naruto equivalent to that. Where does that lead us to? Shikamaru telling Naruto about Asuma's death and what they have to do for the future, rather than cling to the past and present. This small conversation with Naruto, it just helps with his emotional development, and it gives even more satisfaction to Shikamaru's character arc. The man that would advise Naruto, the Hokage, has his first real outing as advisor in this exchange. And then we get Naruto learning about Sage Mode, which is easily my favorite power from the series because it's just so cool. And seeing Naruto earn that power rather than relying on Kurama was extremely satisfying in the day. I loved the build-up for Naruto to achieve each stage. I loved seeing Naruto develop ways to use Sage Mode in battle. I loved the implications that Sage Mode could use. It's a fantastic power, and in my opinion, should have been like the height of Naruto power levels before Kurama allowed his chakra to mix with Sage Mode. That should have been the peak. Anything past that was too ridiculous for me. But to move on, we then get the real action, which starts up again when the 6 Pains attack Konoha and succeed. Orochimaru had 2 villages attack with giant snakes running about or slithering about, and, you know, that attack failed. So there is a shocking difference in skill when 6 Pains on their own managed to do far more damage than Orochimaru dreamed of. The Pains attacking Konoha is one of the most intense parts of the series, because unlike the last village invasion, this one involved a lot more characters we cared about, while also giving them tragic yet fulfilling parts. Chief among them was Kakashi's battle with Pain, and Konohamaru getting Rasengan in was pretty great too. Again, it wasn't all triumph though. Kakashi died, Shizune died, hell, dozens of deaths happened in the small course of an hour or something? And when Yahiko Pain used the almighty push to wipe out the village, well, god damn it, what do you want me to say on that? It's like if you asked me to commentate on a nuke that went off. There really shouldn't be much to say. An event like that is meant to stun all those that simply learn about the subject matter. Thankfully though, Naruto shows up and his battle with Pain is peak Shippuden for me. Just like his teacher, Naruto uses every trick in his arsenal to battle the 6 Pains. It's engaging, tense, satisfying, and even though the 6 Tails battle with Pain in anime form is laughable, to say the least, the ending to this whole struggle, it's just worthy of a series finale. Naruto learns his dad is the 4th Hokage, which was huge to me back then, and after a father and son moment, Minato tells Naruto that the Hokage believes in him. That is followed by the fantastic ending. The way that Naruto uses his shadow clones in one last hurrah is just awe-inspiring, and really sells the finale that this kind of arc needed. Just like with Tobi's reveal, the panel showing Naruto's final Rasengan defeating Pain, again, it's forever carved in my brain. And then we have Naruto meeting Nagato, where all the damage is reversed. let's skip that for my sake. But having Naruto be carried back to the village a hero was worth everything to me back then. This was what the series built up to since the very start, just like with Sasuke versus Itachi. So I'm not afraid to admit that when Naruto was like being tossed around the crowd, being celebrated, yeah, I cried a little. I'm not afraid to admit that. And even though there's still a good amount of favorite moments up ahead, for me personally, I think this is where Shippuden did the whole series justice. Again, this is like worthy of a series finale. Okay, what's next? Oh no. Oh no. Hey kids, guess what? This is going to be an awkward time since we're going off of one of Naruto's greatest victories, but it's time for another Sasuke moment! Woo! But this one is pretty short though. It's when Sasuke crashes the 5 Kage summit. Now I don't mean when Sasuke fights the Raikage and briefly talks with Gaara and fights the samurai. Not that. Not that part. It's when he makes it to the main summit room and makes eye contact with Danzo. So, to fill in the context, the 5 Kage summit was getting out of hand. Danzo tried to manipulate everyone but got caught. The other Kage are getting tired of each other. Gaara is somehow the most reasonable one out of the group, so that's saying something. And to top it all off, Sasuke showed up and is making a scene. But the summit was already at a point where we, the audience, are just waiting for something to happen between Sasuke and Danzo. You know, the build-up needed a payoff. And for me personally, I was getting tired of Danzo's shtick because he just tried to influence everything in his favor and got caught doing it. The crazy thing was that nothing happened to him. I guess the ninja politics are like American politics, because something that corrupt should be punishable immediately. Seriously, when Danzo is caught with his Sharingan trying to influence everyone, he's just allowed to stay in the room and listen to everyone on what to do with the Jinchuriki? Really? You don't want to arrest him? What was it? The Earth Kage? He couldn't just erase Danzo on the spot with his particle erase jutsu? But who cares? Because at this point, Sasuke makes his move. He shows up, cuts down the symbol of the Leaf Village, everyone is staring at the Uchiha boy up above, and then the song Black Spot. Did I say that? Was that the song? Black Spot? Yes, it was. Yeah, Black Spot starts blasting in the background, and future me, just put a clip in.
Above us.
Sasuke's standing on the ceiling upside down, glaring right at Danzo, but every second or so the camera cuts to Danzo looking up. The cycle of cuts repeats until we finally have the two lock eyes for good, and we finally realize, oh shit, Sasuke's about to commit righteous vengeance for once. The moment ends when I think the name is Mifune? Yes, Mifune tries to cut Sasuke down where he stands, but Sasuke casually parries the blow and has to deal with the Mizukage and Tsuchikage. This allows Danzo to escape, and we'll get to his demise in just a moment, but I want to finish up this one first. This was one of those short scenes that was just made to be badass, and it works. Everything lined up as they should, and the choice of music, along with the visual edits done for this scene, make it stand out for me. Seeing the lone renegade in the main conference room for the most powerful people in the ninja world it's really something else. Or maybe I'm just on Team Renegade, I don't know. Regardless, this short but sweet moment did its job and set up perfectly for the next major fight of the series. Which is, of course, our next moment, Sasuke versus Danzo. I think this is one of the most complete fights of the series. When I say that, I mean that there is a lot riding on this. There's no interruptions, and the fight itself has this perfect back and forth flow for the whole thing. Yes, Karin is part of this battle, but Nothing's perfect, am I right? Anyway, this fight is a bit different than others in the series. Sasuke vs. Danzo is like a super ninja slugfest where these two use jutsu after jutsu for an instant kill attack. Sasuke has the Susanoo that can shoot arrows and crush people with its giant hands. There's also Genjutsu, Amaterasu, but there's also Danzo. He has wind chakra nature like Naruto and Asuma, so he can make wind blades, spit out hurricanes, and also can summon this giant elephant that sucks really good. And yes, that is one of my bullet points on here. I'm not perfect. So I guess you can say that my sense of humor just really sucks. Oh, damn it, I'm not good at this. Anyway, the best part of the fight is the back and forth nature of it. Again, Sasuke makes an attack, Danzo issues a counter. Danzo has Sasuke pinned, Sasuke finds a way out. There's no clear advantage for either enemy in this struggle. And what makes this fight excel and have that back and forth nature is Danzo's Izanagi, another Uchiha eye power that's pretty much Gold Experience Requiem. So if anything bad happens to Danzo, he can just be like, nope. And even though that power costs him his Sharingan, he has plenty of them at his disposal, really selling that this man deserved death by the Uchiha. At the end, the fight turns into a split-second finish where both characters make one last charge, and the real tension is if Sasuke dealt the final blow or was it denied by the Izanagi. Of course, thanks to main character status, Sasuke comes out the victor, but the explanation of how Sasuke won just adds to the genius of this fight. There was no ass pull, just a straight and earned victory. The only complicated part of this fight was the ending where the story tries to make us feel sorry for Danzo. I mean, Danzo was a piece of shit, and so is Sasuke, so it's hard to really pick a side. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. I'm on Sasuke's side because I just remembered the ending where Danzo tries to take Karin hostage. That's like when one of the Cell Juniors used Krillin as a hostage. It's just not worth it. That's not going to stop anyone. And Sasuke, with a giant shit-eating grin, just dealt a fatal blow to both Karin and Danzo. He doesn't even acknowledge her existence, so that was worth it. And so is this battle. I can't say it enough. This fight was a long time coming, and like all the fights I mentioned so far, they are so cathartic to watch. Whew, okay. While we're on the subject of satisfaction, let's talk about the event that comes right after Sasuke vs. Danzo, the Team 7 reunion. So when Sakura tries to commit suicide by trying to kill Sasuke, future me, if you could just put a laugh clip in here for us.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
Kakashi arrives to save the day. Now, even though this meeting didn't go as I wanted it to, it's still an interesting little scuffle they have. Sasuke shows his growth in power compared to Kakashi, but both of them kind of cancel each other out. What I wanted was more focus on the last conversation Kakashi and Sasuke had together. The one where Kakashi says that everyone close to him was already killed, and it's one of the few times where Sasuke is left speechless. For a moment like that, it's really weird that there wasn't a lot of emphasis on this talk when Kakashi and Sasuke meet again. It's like when Darth Vader and Obi-Wan meet again in episode 4. There is a lot of history between the two, but said history wasn't really the focus in their final meet-in / battle. Anyway, in the middle of the two's fight, Sakura once again tries to kill Sasuke, but in comes Naruto to save the day. Also the panel where Naruto finally has Sakura in his arms, but stares in complete anger to Sasuke while Naruto's face was slashed. It's... oh my god, it's something else, guys. Naruto grew up a little, and shows it again when he has his final talk with Sasuke. He basically admits that only he can deal with Sasuke, and if he does, he's ready to die for it. He's tired of the runaround, and he knows that this is his last chance to make peace before the end. It's a surprisingly adult moment, and it ends with the major players making one last stand before the Great Ninja War. Naruto and Kakashi staring down Sasuke and Obito. Oh, and Obito telling Kakashi to not use Kamui. It's so cool, with or without the context of knowing who Obito was at that point. Just sets up their showdown perfectly. Regardless, this reunion, the final standoff of the key players before the Ninja War, it was everything I wanted to see before the final big arc arrived. Oh! And here's something that there was a long time coming to. I'm so happy to get into this part. Naruto defeating Kurama. So when it came time to truly master the Nine Tails power, I wasn't sure how that would work. Killer Bee, who is a great character by the way, just need to get that out there, shows Naruto that there is a special way to obtain the power of a tailed beast. It's a game of tug-of-war, where if the host can pull out the chakra of the tailed beast inside them, they'll get full control. If the tailed beast wins, it's game over. Now this tug-of-war between Kurama and Naruto, it had a lot of bad blood in it, but it's a good thing that Naruto overcame his dark feelings before the fight, because at the start of this fight, Naruto gets overcome by his dark feelings and is about to lose everything, so there's that. Now the moment I want to highlight here is Naruto's comeback. Thanks to a clever use of Sage Mode, Naruto overwhelms Kurama with an army of clones and the massive Rasengan barrage. This attack alone is worthy of a favorite moment on here. Not only that, but then it's followed by a Rasen Shuriken to Kurama's gut, and this image, this right here, this was years of payback in the making. It ends with Naruto with all his clones pulling the chakra out of Kurama, and what I think is the best use of Shadow Clones, aside from the final fight with Pain. And this was what Shippuden was all about. It starts to close out all the major plot points before the last big arc, like with the Team 7 reunion. And each closeout is extremely satisfying. I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but it's hard to come up with like other adjectives for moments like these. They represent the best of Naruto, and Naruto's victory against Kurama, it was like a decade in the making, wasn't it? There's another reason why this moment is so important, and we'll get into that in just a second, but I wanted to share why this moment meant so much to me, and the fact that it came from Naruto using his own power was, it was extraordinary to say the least. This fight isn't my favorite fight in the series, of course, but the emotional payoff from the final victory, it's easily my favorite from this story. Even more than the end of the story itself. Hell, Naruto's win here was the start of his friendship with Kurama. Another moment that is just about equally awesome. Point is, without going all over the place, Naruto overcoming the major hurdle of his story is, by no surprise, an absolute favorite of mine. And while we're on the subject, who's ready to go Inception Naruto style? Because we have a favorite moment inside the last favorite moment. So, when Naruto lost control of his dark feelings and is ready to be overcome by Kurama's hatred, chakra, whatever, Naruto's mother saves him and they meet for the first time. Honestly, Kushina's introduction would have made my favorites list in a heartbeat. It's so heartwarming, and there's a certain warmth that isn't replicated anywhere else in this story. However, there is something else in here that is my favorite part of this, and it's Minato's last stand. So, when Naruto was born, Obito used this opportunity to unleash the Nine Tails and attempt to destroy Konoha. But things won't go his way because Minato saved his family and is ready for the fight of his life. Minato facing off against Obito and a berserk Kurama was amazing. Yeah, that's the word I'm using. Amazing. The fights aren't drawn out, there's no detail here that contradicts the story. It's Kakashi Gaiden levels of continuity all over again. When Minato faces off against Obito, both of them realize that the fight will come down to a single blow, and thanks to the Yellow Flash level 2 attack, Minato deals a critical blow to the Rogue Uchiha. Again, this attack could have made the favorites list on its own, but it's what happens afterwards that takes the cake. Seeing the first few panels or pages of Naruto get fully realized with all the context we have nowadays, it's incredibly satisfying. Aside from Obito's backstory after the third Ninja War, this was the last major flashback that needed to be shown, and it explains how Naruto's story began. While Kakashi Gaiden is still my favorite short story from the series, this one, with Minato fighting Obito and stealing the Nine Tails, it is a close second. There's still a lot of tension, a lot of emotional payoff, and Minato proving himself a Hokage, and just giving us the prologue to Naruto. It's a feeling that's not going away anytime soon. Oh, man. I'm surprised I'm still chugging here. Oh wait, no, actually, I feel like my throat is actually going a bit dry here. I think we only have a few moments left, though. Okay, let's see if I can power through this. Let's see if I can get through this without another water break. Okay. Yeah, we are getting close to the end because it's time for my absolute favorite moments in the final arc. Despite what many say about the final arc itself, I actually liked a good amount of the Fourth Great Ninja War. Though I do agree that there needed to be more time spent on it, or rather, more time should have been given before Naruto had to enter the fray. That might be a good video to make one day too. Like the changes I would make to the Great Ninja War, but back to the point. Let's talk about a moment that was built up since Rock Lee versus Gaara. That moment has a simple attack name, and that is Night Guy. Let's paint the picture here real quick. We have Madara, a god who then ate another god, is on the verge of victory. No one else is able to even come close to this guy. That is, until Meikai shows up. Realizing that 6 or 7 gates won't cut it against Madara, Guy looks at Lee, and with one last speech and signal, unlocks the 8th gate, the Gate of Death. I was a foolish man when I first read this part because I thought, so what if Guy opened the last gate? It can't be that stronger than the other 2 gates he used to, like he used against Kisame, right? How wrong I was. Unlocking the last gate is pretty much Guy going from Super Saiyan to Super Saiyan God. Anyway, Guy catches Madara off guard, and thanks to some small teamwork from Minato and Lee, Guy gets Madara to admit that the bushy brow master is the pinnacle of taijutsu, the greatest in the world. But my Guy is almost out of energy. He has to use one last attack. What is it? It's his name, but one letter of the alphabet down, so my Guy turns into Night Guy, who with one last kick devastates Madara. It didn't take Madara out for good, and this moment doesn't amount to much in the grand scheme, but the emotional or hype payoff that's been built since part 1, along with my Guy, of all people, making the honorable last stand, it's a lot to take in. I think the best way to watch this moment is if you play Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4. The developers knew, they freaking knew how hyped this moment was, and they went all out when it came time for the quick time event and the cinematic, like the cutscenes for their fight. It's so good! Night Guy may have been a one-hit wonder, but just like with Madara, that one hit, it was more than enough. And now, we reach our penultimate moment, Kakashi versus Obito. You have most likely seen this fight a lot if you are on the anime side of Twitter. Mainly because fans keep posting this fight, calling it underrated, even though it gets so much attention and practically everyone admits they've seen it and called it a brilliant fight on its own, even without the context of the scene. So there's that. But I gotta admit it too. Kakashi vs. Obito was a great fight. It's a great send-off and conclusion to Kakashi's pain with the past, represented by a transformed Obito. While they fight, the battle keeps switching from their adult versions to their child versions, sparring with each other. This shows how far these two have come, and that Kakashi is still the better fighter. For this moment, I'm going off the anime here, and the music, the speed of the choreography, the seamless transitions from child to adult, and the fact that their tragic beginning is met with a tragic yet triumphant end, it is a fantastic way to tie up Kakashi's struggle. This fight needed to happen as soon as Obito was revealed as the man behind everything. Side note, I also like how Kakashi is the only person aside from Naruto to have taken on the two leaders of the Akatsuki, being Obito and Pain. Even though this is the moment before the finale here, I really don't have much else to say. There'll be a lot to say in the final moment here, but just like some of the other brief fights or moments on here, there doesn't need to be an essay done for them. The emotional weight they carry is more than enough for recognition. Just like the final fight with Pain, there's a reason like Kakashi vs. Obito is so goddamn popular and shared so often on just social media in general. Okay, now, before we get to the last moment, let's just go through some honorable mentions I listed out here. First off, Mifune vs. Hanzo. Nice change of pace from other battles, and it offers a nice lesson on conviction. Shikamaru asks Tamari out. Filler. That's the only reason it's not on the official list, so to say. But I was so happy seeing the romance between Shikamaru and Tamari blossom in anime form. Next up, Sasuke breaks Zaku's arm. Oh wait, no, not arm. He broke both of his arms. Yeah, Sasuke breaks Zaku's arms. Standard anime power-up gets standard anime show-off treatment, but it's still satisfying. And especially cathartic when we see Zaku wreathe in pain. Or maybe I'm just a sick man. Next up, Killer Bee versus Team Taka. An interesting battle shows us what fighting a tailed beast is truly like. Madara versus the Shinobi Alliance. Amazing choreography, amazing power. It's on a shit villain though, in my opinion. Neji and the crowd see Naruto use the Fox Chakra during their fight. It's great seeing Naruto get some real recognition at this point. The only thing I wanted more was that I wanted more of the audience and Neji himself just to realize, oh damn, that's the Fox's chakra, and Naruto's got a hand of it. Oh man, he's so cool. I just wish there was more focus on that. We get like, what, maybe 10 seconds on that until it's followed by Naruto just charging headfirst to Neji's rotation. What was next on here? Gotta scroll down here. Here we go. Rock Lee's Drunk Fist. Great change of pace and really interesting battle, but honestly, I felt like the Drunken Fist technique got dragged just a bit too long. The first appearance of the Akatsuki in Shippuden with that amazing OST behind it. It's self-explanatory and really sets the mood for the villains for the rest of the story. Itachi and Sasuke versus Kabuto. Personally, I thought the ending was a bit weak thanks to another Sharingan forbidden jutsu, but the brother team up as well as Kabuto going all out on his own. The fight was a lot of fun. The third Hokage versus Orochimaru. This was one of the most famous fights of part 1, and it's easy to see why. The Shonen Jump old master stereotype going up against former student, it just hit all the right parts, but yeah, I, like many, found the third act of their battle to take forever, and that, oh man, that just takes away some of the joy of that. Oh, and on that note, the first Hokage, going over him and Madara's past. Just like with the other flashbacks, this was a much needed explanation and a solid story on its own. A tragic take on two brothers of war. And finally, one more flashback, the backstory of Itachi. It's still surreal to remember that Itachi was one of, if not the most tragic hero of Konoha. A man that sacrificed everything to prevent war, save his brother, but it cost him his reputation and honor and ultimately his life. Itachi's a fantastic character, and the only reason his big reveal didn't make the list is because for me, I wanted to see more of this good side of Itachi, rather than saving it for the last time he sees Sasuke and fights Kabuto. And I wanted to see more of that aside from when... There was also when Itachi met Naruto and Killer Bee, and Itachi's like, "Oh, Naruto, you mastered the Nine-Tails power. Cool." That's it. I just wanted to see more, you know what I mean? Regardless, let's move on to my favorite moment of Shippuden. This will be a bit of a deja vu, but with Naruto, there is usually two fights that are considered the highlights of the entire series. Every story has this. Yu Hakusho has Yusuke versus Toguro, which is also one of my favorite fights of all time, just like with Naruto versus Gaara. Dragon Ball had Goku versus Frieza. Bleach had Ichigo versus Grimmjow. The list goes on and on and on, you know the drill. So with Naruto, there were two big fights for parts 1 and 2. Part 1 had Naruto versus Sasuke, and part 2 has my favorite moment in Shippuden, Naruto versus Sasuke round 2. This fight was everything. From beginning to end, this final battle was full of nostalgia, while also delivering on new material. The battle starts with one last vocal argument between the two friends, and as they charge towards each other, their past selves show up one last time, indicating that everything in the series was leading up to this one last clash. Every kind of jutsu, every attack from Naruto and Sasuke's adventure, they are all used against each other. The Kirin, Rasen Shuriken, Amaterasu, Kurama's Chakra, the powers of the Rinnegan, it's all used. And they all clash perfectly. Naruto versus Sasuke is truly a battle between equals in terms of power. Sasuke has the Susanoo, Naruto has the Kyuubi form. Sasuke has the more refined and vast moveset, Naruto has the stamina to keep pushing through. This battle has like two different sections. The first part is just Naruto and Sasuke using every trick up their sleeves against each other. However, what elevates this fight for me is the second half. We get our flashbacks with part 1 music playing again, so that helps with the nostalgia. But now, we have clearer explanations on Naruto and Sasuke's motivations. In the past, when they clashed verbally, it felt like their arguments bounced off each other and us, the audience. Here at the end, it finally made sense. These two, they finally made a solid connection, but have to finish their fight. In Metal Gear Solid 4 fashion, Naruto and Sasuke are at death's door, but they just keep on fighting. They have no more chakra, and only have enough power for one last clash. So of course, this leads to my favorite song from Naruto, Waltz of Wind and Fire. Everything in this song is pure Naruto and oozes with finality. Naruto and Sasuke charge each other with their attacks forming, during which we see everyone important to Naruto form the Rasengan. And you can bet it was cathartic as hell to see regular base form Naruto finally use a one-handed Rasengan without having to use any clones. And with Sasuke, there's a faint but present assistance from Itachi, always showing his little brother's support. The two friends have their final attacks meet and are both lying on the ground afterwards. It is here where Sasuke finally admits defeat and returns to a likable character for me. It was never about how Sasuke went down the wrong path and was manipulated. he lacked the humanity or development to make me care about him. That is, until he got said development in this final battle. Naruto vs. Sasuke is the perfect closer to their character arcs, their rivalry, and the ending returns to a time when they were teammates and not on opposite sides. I said this already, but everything here is a true finale. This is what Shonen Jump battles should always strive to be in their final moments. Aside from Yu Hakusho and Yu-Gi-Oh!, I can't think of another final battle that is so complete and ties up everything perfectly. And good lord, I can only hope that One Piece even comes close to this level of finale when the time comes. I'm not afraid to say that. And I am not afraid to declare that this is probably one of the best final battles in any form of media. I think it does the job that well. And even though Boruto does exist as a story, for me, this final battle was perfect, and Naruto, as a series, ended after this. 15 years of my life were guided by this story, and honestly, you've heard me say it already, but I can't think of a better payoff than this. And that is why Naruto vs. Sasuke is an absolute favorite moment from the series. I really think I am losing my voice here. Now that is more than enough talking on my side, and I feel like if I go for like maybe one more minute, my voice box is just gonna shoot through my lungs. But on that note, be sure to let me know what your favorite moments were in the comments below, and tell me if I should do a blog on a story you love. You know, I'm game for just about anything, so long as I have like read or watched the story in general. The next time you're going to hear me get this personal is when I talk about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and trust me, that is going to come soon enough. In the meantime though, thank you all so much for watching. Take it easy. Happy holidays. I really hope I get this out in December, but yeah, happy holidays. Take care, you legends. I will see you all next time. Have a good one.